I bought the book that ruined my life for a dime at the New London, New Hampshire Hospital Day Fair in 1969. The woman at the used bookstore told me that the title was pronounced Dites-le en 8 langues, and it meant say it in 8 languages. It was a universal phrase book and would tell you everything that you needed to know to communicate in French, English, German, Dutch, Spanish, Italian, Russian, and Arabic. I was fascinated as I flipped through the sections on everything from greetings to at the hotel to sightseeing and shopping. It set me on the path to a lifelong addiction to trying to learn foreign languages. That book was not actually my first exposure to other languages. My grandparents had lived in Havana for a number of years, and I often heard my grandfather speaking in Spanish in his jewelry store as he sold watches and wedding rings to Puerto Ricans newly arrived in the West Bronx. My father and his father spoke normally in Yiddish, with occasional words of other languages thrown in, ranging from English to Russian to Italian. This caused me no end of confusion, and in fact, I was well into my 30s before I learned that capiche was not in fact a Yiddish word. And then I went to Hebrew school on Tuesday and Thursday afternoons and Sunday mornings. But my teachers there were not really concerned with actually speaking the language so much as being able to read things out of the prayer book. There was an extra element of menace because the most important prayer in Judaism, the Shema, has a number of words in it, and we were told that every word corresponded to a part of the body. And an error in pronouncing a word could lead to an illness or injury in the corresponding body part. Well, I later took a real Hebrew class, one that was geared towards people who were thinking of actually moving to the country, and that class used the State Department textbook. Between Hebrew school and the State Department, my Hebrew vocabulary runs something like, I'd like to introduce you to the Lord God, King of the universe. He's interested in investing in a new airport. My language classes in high school had a somewhat more normal tone to them. I took 4 years of German and 2 years of French, which used more or less the same book, with just the names changed. Herr and Frau Schulz lived in Hamburg, Madame and Monsieur Thibault lived in Paris, and they spent all of their time introducing visitors to their large families, showing off their tables, chairs, beds, and lamps, and pointing out the parts of the body. I could only conclude that Europeans spent all of their time with their extended families, shopping for furniture and playing the hokey pokey. The most bizarre vocabulary I acquired was in the Russian class I took my freshman year of college. That class used a textbook that was a parody of Soviet primers, and all the stories were about the workers at the concrete factory. There were loafers who did horrible things like smoking on trolleys and never washed. Those loafers spent their vacations at the edge of the Great Blinsk swamp, going to jazz clubs and wearing tuxedos. The good workers, however, went instead to the Great Blinsk Sea, where they happily built hydroelectric power stations. One of my classmates went to Moscow over Christmas vacation. He had some concern about our not having learned how to say things like hello and where's the toilet. But as it turned out, he met somebody who worked in a concrete factory, and they became fast friends. Well, when I graduated from college, I finally had the opportunity to put all this language study to practical use. My father asked me what I wanted as a graduation present, and without hesitation, I checked it off. Plane ticket, URL pass, spending money. Armed with those things and a copy of Europe on $25 a day, I confidently set off on my great adventure. Now, I had probably not quite thought things through completely from the language standpoint, because my first 2 weeks were spent in northern Belgium, the Flemish-speaking part, the Netherlands, and Denmark, all of which spoke languages I had not learned. My cheerful bonjours in Ostend and Antwerp were met with outright hostility, but occasional replies in English. When I finally met somebody on a train across Germany who spoke to me in German, it turned out that he was a Mormon missionary on his way home to Utah after serving his mission in Berlin. I learned a few things out of that trip, though. I learned that you never need to know numbers because you can always ask somebody to write them down, and that coffee and chocolate are more or less the same in every language in the world, so that I could get my most basic needs met. This disappointment did not cure me of my addiction to language learning, however. I since then have taken classes ranging from Italian to Polish, and once, in preparation for a whopping 3 days in Beijing, I took a 2-weekend Chinese immersion class. I learned how to say hello, thank you, please, and to count to 6. I also learned that 4 days of intense language study was about 3.5 days more than I could absorb. Now I've traveled to about 80 countries, and I have developed my own approach to learning languages. The first word I always learn is thank you. The second one is beer. After the second beer, you believe you can speak any language whatsoever. But I still go and buy those language books and CDs and podcasts and so on. In fact, on my shelf right now, there's Teach Yourself Swahili and the Berlitz Guide to Arabic. Because someday, no matter all of the evidence to the contrary, I still believe I'll be able to dit le en 8 langues. Thank you.